One morning, as the mist rose from the forest, I sat quietly by the river, lost in thought. The gentle rustle of leaves filled the air, mingling with the soft murmur of flowing water. Suddenly, footsteps approached, light yet deliberate, and I turned to see the Buddha himself. His serene expression brought an inexplicable calm, as though the very earth settled in his presence. "Why do you sit here alone? Troubled by unseen burdens?" the Buddha asked, his voice a soothing melody. I hesitated, unsure if I could share my turmoil with this enlightened being. Ananda continued, "Their praise brings fleeting joy, yet their criticism plunges me into despair." The Buddha listened intently, nodding gently to encourage him. "I do not understand why I crave their approval as if my worth depends on it." Buddha gestured towards the lotus pond nearby, its water rippling softly under the breeze. He gazed at the river, its surface rippling gently in the morning light. "Have you observed how the river flows, unhesitant and free?" he asked, his words carrying both simplicity and depth. Buddha continued, "The lotus arises unstained from the mud. It does not seek acknowledgement from the water or sky." Ananda watched the flower sway gently, its pristine petals untouched by the grime below. "The lotus fulfills its purpose simply by being what it is," Buddha said, his voice serene. "Master," Ananda asked, "how can I rise like the lotus, untainted by others' judgments?" Buddha turned to the disciples and began to speak. "But Master, the river has no choice. It flows because it must. How can I live as freely?" The Buddha smiled gently, as though amused by the intricacy of human thought. "Freedom is not the absence of choice," he said, "but the courage to embrace one's true nature without fear." Buddha stood and approached the pond, his movements deliberate and graceful. He pointed to the reflection of the lotus on the water's surface. "Ananda," he said, "is the reflection the flower itself? Or is it merely an image?" Ananda replied, "It is only an image, Master, not the true flower." Buddha nodded, his gaze returning to the disciples. "The judgments of others are like this reflection, fleeting and insubstantial." The disciples murmured among themselves, their minds grappling with the profound truth. "To depend on such illusions," Buddha said, "is to lose oneself in a mirage." Ananda lowered his head, his thoughts swirling with Buddha's words. "Master," he asked, "how can I free myself from this ignorance and find peace?" Buddha knelt beside the pond, dipping his fingers into the water. Ripples spread, distorting the reflection. "When you touch the water," Buddha explained, "the reflection changes, yet the lotus remains unaffected." Ananda watched the ripples settle, the reflection of the lotus returning to clarity. "So it is with your worth, Ananda," Buddha said, unaffected by external opinions. Buddha rose, his presence commanding yet gentle, like the breeze rustling the leaves. "To free oneself, Ananda, one must cultivate awareness and understanding." The disciples leaned closer, eager to absorb the Master's wisdom. "Meditate upon the lotus," Buddha instructed, "and recognize the illusion of external validation." Ananda closed his eyes, envisioning the lotus amidst the pond, its purity unblemished by its surroundings. Buddha continued, "In this meditation, you will see that your essence is like the lotus, untouched by the mud of judgment." The disciples sat in silent contemplation, their breaths steady and synchronized. "Master," one disciple spoke, "how do we confront the pain caused by criticism or rejection?" Buddha turned to the disciple, his expression compassionate. "Pain arises from attachment, the clinging to praise or fear of criticism. Distortions are but ripples, temporary and fleeting," he said. "Have patience, and the water will settle, revealing its clarity." His wisdom was both profound and accessible. Like a key to a door I had not dared to open, I felt the tension within me begin to ease. Though the questions remained, their edges softened by his guidance. Buddha gestured to the horizon, where the sun began its descent, casting golden hues across the sky. Ananda, Buddha called softly, "Do you see the sun setting beyond the trees?" Ananda replied, "Yes, Master. Its light fills the world with beauty before it fades." Buddha smiled. "Does the sun seek the approval of the world for its radiance?" Buddha asked, his tone light yet probing. Ananda shook his head, a faint smile gracing his lips. "No, Master. It shines because it is its nature to do so," Ananda replied. Buddha nodded, his eyes reflecting the warmth of the setting sun. "Be like the sun, Ananda, radiating your light without seeking permission." The disciples felt a wave of clarity wash over them, their hearts lighter with newfound understanding. "Your path," Buddha concluded, "is to realize this truth and embody it." Ananda bowed deeply, his heart filled with gratitude and determination. The disciples followed, their reverence for Buddha unspoken but profound. As the day turned to dusk, the teachings of the enlightened one lingered in the air, a beacon guiding them forward. Another day, the disciples walked alongside Buddha through a small village, their robes swaying gently with each step. Villagers paused their tasks, offering respectful bows and curious glances as the group passed. Among the disciples, a sense of anticipation lingered, knowing each journey brought wisdom. They came upon a man known for his sharp words, whose voice carried insults like arrows aimed at unsuspecting hearts. This man approached Buddha, his face stern, his gaze challenging as he prepared to unleash his anger. The disciples tensed, unsure of how Buddha would respond to such hostility. "You, wandering teacher," the man began, "what do you think you can teach that I do not already know?" His voice dripped with disdain, his words cutting. The disciples bristled at the disrespect, some clenching their hands tightly to steady their emotions. Buddha, his expression serene, stood silently for a moment, his eyes gazing steadily into the man's. When the man paused for breath, Buddha spoke. "Friend," he said, his voice calm, "if someone offers you a gift and you refuse it, to whom does it belong?" The man hesitated, his brow furrowing as he considered the question. "It remains with the giver," he replied cautiously, unsure of where this exchange might lead. Buddha nodded gently, his composure unshaken. "Indeed," said Buddha, "in the same way, your words are your gift to offer, but I do not accept them." "What do you see?" the Buddha asked, his eyes on the water. "I see myself, Master," I answered, though the image felt distant, almost foreign. The villagers, gathered nearby, began to murmur, their eyes fixed on the unfolding scene. Buddha turned to address his disciples, his gaze soft yet penetrating. Craving approval and fearing disapproval are like being tossed in a stormy sea without an anchor. Buddha said. The disciples listened intently, their breaths even, their focus unbroken by the presence of the villagers. Buddha continued, "When we attach ourselves to praise or blame, we surrender control of our own peace and freedom." The man, now silent, stood among the listeners, his mind churning over Buddha's words. "Praise and blame," Buddha explained, "are like the wind, they come and go, but they do not define you." The disciples nodded, their hearts moved by the simplicity and depth of the teaching. Buddha gestured toward the ground, where fallen leaves scattered and danced with the breeze. "See how the leaves move with the wind," Buddha said, "but the earth beneath remains steady." He turned to one of the disciples, who often struggled with seeking approval from others. "What do you see in this moment?" Buddha asked. The disciple replied, "I see the wind carrying the leaves, but the earth is unmoved." Buddha smiled gently. "So too must your heart remain steady, unaffected by the gusts of praise or blame." "But Master," I said, "what if I do not like the truth I uncover?" The Buddha's gaze softened, and he placed a hand lightly on my shoulder. Truth is neither good nor bad, he said. It simply is. Acceptance is the beginning of peace. His words carried a profound weight, yet their simplicity made them accessible, like a key to a hidden door. I nodded, though the path ahead seemed daunting. Master, I asked, what if others do not accept the truth I find within myself? The Buddha turned his gaze to the lake, his reflection shimmering faintly on its surface. Teacher, the man said, his voice quieter, I do not understand how you remain calm amidst insult. Can you explain? Buddha turned to him, his eyes filled with compassion, his presence inviting understanding. If a traveler carries a heavy load unnecessarily, Buddha said, does it not weigh them down and prolong their suffering? The man nodded, his curiosity overtaking his initial hostility. It does, Master, he admitted, his tone more respectful. In the same way, Buddha explained, holding on to anger or attachment to words burdens the heart and clouds the mind. The man lowered his gaze, his previous confidence replaced by quiet reflection, his thoughts racing. This leaf, though imperfect, plays its part in the cycle of life, he said. Holding it gently, it feeds the earth, nourishes the tree, and returns to the soil, he explained. Buddha turned back to his disciples, his expression encouraging and kind. Each of you must practice this wisdom, he said, for the path to freedom lies in letting go. The disciples bowed, their commitment to the teaching solidified in their hearts. The man who had insulted Buddha earlier now joined the gathering, his posture indicating humility. Teacher, he asked, how can one begin to let go of anger that has rooted deeply within? Buddha approached the man and spoke. Begin by observing your thoughts and recognizing them as transient. Like clouds passing through the sky, Buddha said. The man nodded slowly, his face reflecting the inner conflict between his anger and his desire for peace. Through meditation, Buddha continued, you will see that you are not your anger, but the observer of it. The disciples sat in quiet awe, their respect for the Buddha deepening with each word spoken. Master, one disciple asked, is it wrong to feel joy when receiving praise or sadness when facing criticism? Buddha's expression remained serene as he replied, emotions are natural, but attachment to them brings suffering, he said. Feel the joy or sadness, Buddha advised, but let them flow like a river, without grasping or resisting. The disciple bowed, their gratitude for the teaching radiating through their posture. As the sun began its descent, casting golden hues across the landscape, Buddha concluded the day's teaching. Freedom from validation addiction, Buddha said, is found in understanding and releasing attachment to fleeting judgments. The man who had once insulted Buddha now bowed deeply, his heart touched by the wisdom he had witnessed. The weight of striving for acceptance felt heavier than the clouds above. Pressing down on my spirit, I reached the village and found the Buddha seated beneath a simple shelter, watching the rain with quiet wonder. Another day, the disciples gathered in a quiet clearing, the air filled with the songs of distant birds. Buddha sat among them, his calm presence offering solace and wisdom. The disciples looked to him, their minds prepared to receive the day's teaching. Buddha lifted a polished brass mirror and held it aloft, its surface catching the light of the morning sun. What do you see within this mirror? Buddha asked, his voice resonating through the clearing. A disciple replied, Master, I see my reflection staring back at me. Buddha placed the mirror aside, his gaze soft yet piercing. Is this reflection truly who you are? He asked. The disciple hesitated, then responded, No, Master, it is only an image, not my true self. Buddha nodded gently, his expression serene. The judgments of others, Buddha said, are like this reflection, fleeting and insubstantial, mere shadows upon the surface. The disciples murmured among themselves, their hearts stirred by Buddha's profound analogy. Do not entrust your worth to the opinions that shift like the winds, Buddha continued. Master. Another disciple asked, how can we know who we truly are? Beyond the reflections and judgments of others? Buddha gestured to the clearing around them. The towering trees and scattered blossoms. Consider the space within a home, Buddha said. Essential yet unseen. Buddha paused, allowing the disciples to ponder his words before continuing. Your essence is like this space, untouched by the furnishings that come and go. The disciples nodded, their understanding deepening with each word spoken by their master. Seeking approval from others is like giving your mirror to strangers, allowing them to define your worth, Buddha explained. The disciples listened intently, their breaths steady as they absorbed the wisdom offered. Hold the mirror yourself, Buddha advised, and look within to see the truth of your boundless nature. Buddha rose, his movements graceful as he addressed the gathered disciples. Validation addiction binds us in chains forged by ignorance and attachment, he said. The disciples felt the weight of his words, their hearts heavy with the realization of their struggles. But freedom, Buddha continued, is found in understanding that your worth is independent, like the lotus blooming unstained by the mud. The disciples bowed their heads in reverence, their minds opening to the possibility of liberation. Master, one disciple asked, what path must we follow to break free from the cycle of seeking validation? Buddha gestured to the mirror once more. Meditate upon the mirror, Buddha instructed, and recognize the illusion within the reflections that appear. The disciple closed their eyes, envisioning the mirror and the reflections that shifted upon its surface. Buddha spoke again, his voice steady yet gentle. Through this meditation, you will see that your essence is unchanging, untouched by judgment or praise. Another disciple stepped forward, their eyes earnest as they asked, how do we confront the pain when others criticize or reject us? Buddha turned his gaze to the questioning disciple, his expression compassionate and wise. The burdens of seeking approval, though not entirely gone, seemed lighter, as though their weight had been shared with the rain-soaked soil. The Buddha stood, his movements deliberate yet graceful. Release this attachment, Buddha advised, and you will find peace. For your worth is within. Unshaken, Buddha gestured to the clearing's edge, where the sunlight filtered through the branches of tall trees. See how the light dances upon the ground, Buddha said. Yet the earth beneath remains steady and unchanged. So too must your heart remain, Buddha continued, steady and unmoved by the shadows cast by fleeting opinions. The Buddha's teachings lingered in the air, their essence a guide as I began the journey to nurture my inner flame. To seek approval is human, Buddha said, but to recognize the impermanence of validation is the path to freedom. He turned to the mirror once more, lifting it to catch the light of the midday sun. The world reflects its judgments upon you, Buddha said, but these reflections are not who you are. The disciples bowed deeply, their gratitude for Buddha's teaching radiating through their postures. The mirror's surface grew warm under Buddha's touch, its polished brass gleaming brightly. To walk the path, Buddha said, is to hold the mirror yourself and gaze upon the truth within. As we departed the pond, the farmer followed, his steps steadier, his resolve stronger than before. The sun's golden rays bathed the path ahead, illuminating the way forward for all of us. Your worth, Buddha said, is boundless and independent, untouched by the fleeting winds of praise or blame. The disciples felt a profound sense of unity and peace, their spirits lightened by Buddha's wisdom. The gathered disciples bowed deeply, their hearts filled with determination to walk the path illuminated by the teachings. And so, they departed, the teachings resonating within them, a beacon guiding their journey toward freedom and understanding. The river remained my guide, a reminder of the balance Buddha had shown me. One day, standing by the river, I watched the ripples dance upon its surface, each fading into serenity. Thank you for watching. Buddha's teachings are always with you. Subscribe to our channel and we will see you in the next video.